Okay, class. First question. Each obligor answers only for a part of the whole liability, and to each obligee belongs only a part of the correlative rights. So part lang ang liability ng obligor, at sa obligee, part lang din ang pwede niyang singilin. So if you can still remember, joint obligation versus solidary obligation. Sa joint obligation, each obliger answers only for a part. So siya share niya lang. Unlike dito sa solidary, he will be liable for the whole obligation. Para mas matandaan ninyo sa joint obligation, to each his own. Pero dito sa solidary, di ba? One for all for one. So kung ano ang inutang ninyo and madami kayong umutang, yung entire na utang na yun ay babayaran mo. Yung entire na utang na yun ay babayaran niya kahit sino sa inyo na mga debtors. At sa creditor naman, kahit sino sa kanila pwede singilin yung entire obligation. Ang another term sa solidary is joint and several. Okay? Baka ma-confuse kayo kasi joint obligation tapos ito joint din. Sa joint dito, merong several. Joint and several. Pero dito, joint obligation lang. So to answer this question, ang answer dito ay joint obligation. Number 2, A and B are debtors of C to the amount of 1 million pesos. How much can C demand from A? So nag-utang si A and B ng 1 million pesos. Isa lang ang inutangan nila. Ang tanong, ilan ba ang pwedeng singilin ni C kay A? Tandaan, kung walang nakalagay kung joint ba siya o solidary, anong presumption? Anong general rule? The general rule is the obligation is joint. Kapag wala nakalagay kung joint o solidary, the obligation is joint. Hence, A will only be liable for his share. And B will also be liable for his share only. So, ang share nila dito sa 1 million is tagpa 500,000 pesos. So, how much can C demand from A? Only 500,000 pesos. Third question. A and B are solidary debtors of C to the amount of 1 million pesos. How much can C demand from B? So malinaw dito ang obligation is solidary. Nakalagay, solidary obligation. And if you can recall, one for all for one. So si A, kailangan bayaran niya yung entire amount. Si B naman pwede ring singilin for the entire amount. So how much can C demand from B? The answer is C can demand the entire obligation or the entire amount of 1 million pesos because the liability of the debtors is solidary. Number 4, A and B are joint debtors. So dito, joint sila. A and B, joint debtors. C, D, E, and F are solidary creditors. So medyo complex ito. Kasi ang debtors ay joint debtors, pero sa creditors naman, they are solidary creditors. To the amount of 1 million pesos, how much can C collect from A? Ilan ba ang pwedeng singilin ng isang solidary creditor sa isang joint debtor? So tandaan, sa joint obligation, ang liability lang ni A ay sa kanyang share lang na 500,000 pesos. Although si C sana, since solidary creditor siya, pwede niyang singilin ang entire obligation, kaso joint lang ang liability ni A and B. So si C, pwede niya lang singilin ay 500,000 pesos. Number 5, what is the effect if a third person pays with the knowledge and consent of the debtor? So kung matatandaan ninyo, ito yung quiz ninyo. So sa quiz ninyo, open books pa yon. Kung ma-remember ninyo, what are the rights of the third person who paid with the knowledge and consent of the debtor? So number 1 rule is, ang dapat na magbayad ng utang ay yung debtor. Dito sa scenario na to, merong third person, merong stranger na nagbayad ng utang ng debtor. And si debtor naman pumayag siya kasi it is with the knowledge and consent of the debtor. So what are the rights of the third person? Kasi nagbayad siya in behalf of the debtor. So the answer is, the payer or the payor shall have the rights. Sinong payer dito? Yung third person. Shall have the rights of reimbursement on subrogation. Tandaan, dalawa ha? Reimbursement and subrogation. Kapag nagbayad siya with the knowledge and consent, pumayag si debtor na magbayad siya. So what is reimbursement? I-recover niya kung ano yung nabayad niya. Kung nagbayad kayo, binayaran niyo yung absent ninyo na classmate, pwede ninyong singilin yun and sabihin nyo, oh, magpa-reimburse ako sa binayad ko. So, yan yung reimbursement. How about subrogation? Subrogation simply means acquiring all the rights of the creditor. May rights ang creditor na habulin ang debtor. At because the third person paid in behalf of the debtor, si third person ngayon, he will enter into the shoes of the creditor. Parang siya na rin yung creditor. So, yung tawag sa right na yun is subrogation. The third person will substitute the creditor. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng subrogation. Number 6, what is the effect if a third person pays without the debtor's knowledge or against his will? Ito naman, yung third person nagbayad na hindi alam ng debtor or ayaw ng debtor pero nagbayad pa rin ang third person. So the answer here is, payer is entitled to beneficial reimbursement only. Now, bakit beneficial reimbursement? Kasi only to the extent na nakinabang yung debtor. Ang example na to is kung naghiram yung debtor ng 100 pesos and then hindi alam ng third person, nagbayad na pala yung debtor ng 20 pesos. So 80 pesos na lang ang kulang. Pero si third person, nagbayad siya ng buong 100 pesos. Since beneficial reimbursement lang, ang pwede lang maklaim ng third person na yun ay 80 pesos kasi nga nagbayad na si debtor ng 20 pesos. Beneficial reimbursement. Unlike dito sa number 5, kasi with the knowledge ng debtor dito, without the knowledge. Kaya beneficial reimbursement lang. Number 7, it means the act of putting somebody into the shoes of the creditor, hence, enabling the former to exercise all the rights and actions that could have been exercised by the latter. So if you can recall, our number 5, ito, reimbursement and subrogation. Reimbursement recovers what he has paid. Subrogation acquires all the rights of the creditor. So ito yon, subrogation. Number 7, it means the act of putting somebody into the shoes of the creditor, enabling the former to exercise all the rights and actions. Subrogation. Ito. Number 8, to whom payment must be made. Kanino kayo magbabayad? If you can recall, payment is one of the mode of extinguishing an obligation, di ba? You pay. Kanino kayo magbabayad? Tandaan, it's not only about money. It's also the rendition of service. So, kanino kayo magbabayad? To whom payment must be made? Number 1, to the person in whose favor the obligation has been constituted. In other words, sa creditor. Or pwede sa successor in interest ng creditor, like heirs niya, mga anak niya. To any person authorized to receive it. So kung sinong pinayagan ng creditor na mag-receive ng bayad, sinong binigyan niya ng authority. Pero number 1 is creditor. So to whom payment must be made? Siyempre sa creditor. Number 9, it is the designation of the debt to which should be applied a payment made by a debtor who owes several debts in favor of the same creditor. So madami siyang utang sa isang creditor lang. And siya ngayon magsasabi kung saan ibabayad yung payment niya. Take note of the special forms of payment. There are 4. Application of payment, dation in payment, payment by cession, and tender of payment and consignation. So dito, number 9, the answer is application of payments. Number 10, it is the process by which a debtor transfers all the properties, tanda na, all the properties, not subject to execution in favor of his creditors. So madaming creditors. So that the latter may sell them. Ipapabili niya yung mga properties and thus apply the proceeds to their credits. So ibabayad niya ngayon yung pera na nakuha niya sa pagbebenta ng mga properties or ari-arian. If we go back to the special forms of payment again, anong tawag dito sa number 10? We have payment by cession. Number 11, the act of offering the creditor what is due him together with a demand that the creditor accept the same. So ano to? Nag-offer ka sa creditor ng bayad mo. 'Di ba? Nag-demand ka sa creditor, "Oh, ito yung bayad ko, tanggapin mo." Ano 'yon? Hotdog? We have tender of payment. Tender juice hotdog. Tender of payment. Huwag niyong isama ang consignation na kasi ang consignation, it refers to the deposit of the amount before the court. Kapag ayaw tanggapin, nag-tender ka, ayaw tanggapin ng creditor, pwede mo na siyang i-deposit sa court. Pero dito sa number 11, The answer is tender of payment only. It is the extinguishment in the concurrent amount of the obligations of those persons who are reciprocally debtors and creditors of each other. So ako, debtor ako niya. Siya ang creditor, pero may utang din siya sa akin. So in that case, creditor niya rin ako and siya yung debtor. Anong tawag doon? Compensation. So makompensate na yung mga utang namin. Number 13, the principle is based on the essential equality of the parties. It is repugnant to bind one party and yet leave the other free. So this goes to one of the principles of contract. Yung assignment ninyo. I asked for 4 principles of contract. Isa ito sa mga principles. The principle of mutuality of contracts. Principle of mutuality of contracts. Now, this article stresses the mutuality of contracts. Ano nakalagay sa mutuality of contracts? That both parties are bound. Kailangan pareho sila bound by the contract. Hindi pwede na nag-enter sila into a contract and isang party lang ang bound. Hindi pwede. Kailangan dalawa sila. Bakit? Because it is repugnant to bind one party only and yet leave the other free. It is based on the equality of the parties. So yan na, mutual dapat. Di ba? Kung may mutual understanding, gusto mo siya, gusto ka niya. So dapat both parties are bound. Number 14, the contracting parties may establish such stipulations, clauses, terms, and conditions as they may deem convenient. As they may deem convenient. Kahit anong gusto nila na terms, stipulations, clauses, pwede nilang ilagay sa contract. Anong tawag sa principle na yan? The principle of autonomy of contracts. Kaya nga autonomy, autonomous, you're free. You're free to do what you want. You're free to stipulate and to put into the contract whatever terms or conditions you want. So, kailangan yung bilhin ko na sasakyan, dapat merong red ribbon na nakatali, dapat bago yung gulong, dapat i-deliver mo sa parking lot ng SM. So, you're free to stipulate as long as yung ilalagay ninyo na term or stipulation doon, they are not contrary to law. So, hindi kayo pwedeng magpabili ng shabu kasi that's contrary to law. Morals, good customs, public order, and public policy. So, yan na, the contracting parties may establish such stipulations, terms, clauses. So, bahala na sila. Anong tawag doon sa freedom na yon? They are free to stipulate. Yan, principle of autonomy of contracts. Number 15, contracts are generally effective only between the parties, their assigns, and their heirs. So, ang sinasabi lang dito sa 15, ang mga kontrata, they can only bind. They can only affect parties in the contract. So, hindi pwedeng mandamay ng ibang tao. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, kailangan magbayad nito yung kapitbahay mo o yung pinsan mo. Wala naman silang kinalaman doon. Anong tawag sa principle na to? Ang tawag sa principle na to ay principle of relativity of contract. In other words, the contract is relative only to the parties. It only relates to the parties and third persons are not bound or strangers must not be affected by the contract. Or of course, merong mga exceptions ito. Example, yung stipulations for atruy. Ito, you're basically entering into a contract for the benefit of a third person. So, syempre, maapektuhan ang third person doon. 16. A stipulation in favor of a third person conferring a clear and deliberate favor upon him. So, gumawa kayo ng kontrata and yung kontrata na yon ay ginawa ninyo for the benefit of another person na hindi kasama sa kontrata. What do you call that again? As I explained, stipulation for atruy. Ito, stipulations for atruy. 17. The following are exceptions to the principle of relativity. Except. So what are the exceptions to the principle of relativity? Ano na nga yung relativity? So let's review. The principle of relativity states that contracts are binding only on the parties who entered into them. And they cannot impose obligations or confer rights on third parties. Sa relativity of contract, ang maapektuhan lang talaga yung parties lang na nag-enter sa kontrata. Hindi pwedeng maapektuhan ang strangers or third person. What are the exceptions of the principle of relativity? Stipulations for atruy, of course, maapektuhan ang third person. So it is an exception to the principle of relativity. So check. Third person induces another to violate the contract. Itong stranger na to, hinikayat niya yung party na i-violate yung kontrata and because of that, naapektuhan siya ngayon. kasama na siya, pwede na siyang file ng case. So it is an exception to the principle of relativity. Tandaan, ang hinahanap natin dito ay exception. Landowner in relation to the sublease, laktawan natin to. Letter D, the creditor can sue on a contract entered into by a debtor. Itong creditor na to, pwede siyang third person, pwede siyang stranger, and pwede siyang mag-file ng case sa kontrata na hindi naman siya kasama. So it is an exception to the principle of relativity. So check ang A, check ang B, check ang D. Ano na lang naiwan? Letter C. So letter C is the answer. Number 18. The following are the essential requisites of a consensual contract, except. So ano ba yung mga essential requisites ng consensual contract? Kasi kapag nalaman na natin kung anong essential requisites niya, kung hindi kasama doon, yun ang answer. Kasi I'm looking for the exception. Now, the following are the essential requisites of a consensual contract. Tandaan na, consensual contract. May iba't ibang klaseng contract kasi merong consensual contract, merong real contract, at merong contracts that can be perfected based on the formality. Ito, dito muna tayo sa consensual contract. So these are the essential elements ng consensual contract. Number 1, consent. Number 2, consideration. And number 3, object. Delivery is not an essential requisite of a consensual contract. So, ito yung answer. This is the exception. Hindi nyo kailangan ang delivery sa consensual contract. Tandaan, how are contracts perfected? How do you perfect ang contract? Sa consensual contracts, you perfect them by mere consent. So, kagaya ng contract of sale. Paano ba itong mere consent? Magsabi lang kayo ng oo, sige. So, you merely consented and the contract is already perfected pagdating sa consensual contracts. How about sa real contracts? Sa real contracts naman, they are perfected by delivery. Kailangan hindi lang kayo magsabi ng oo. Sige, kailangan may delivery. Ano yung mga examples na yon? Deposit, pledge, di ba? Kailangan i-deliver niyo yung object. Sa pledge, kailangan i-deliver ninyo yung movable property. Now, how about formal or solemn contracts? How are they perfected? Here, a special form is required for perfection. And ano yun? Kagaya ng donation inter vivos of real property, kung mag-donate ka ng real property during your lifetime inter vivos, as opposed to mortis causa, kung patay ka na. So, sa donation inter vivos, habang buhay ka pa, nag-donate ka ng real property, paano siya maging perfected? Through notarization. So, kailangan ipanotaryo ninyo ang instrument na yon. So, again, sa consensual contract, para maging perfected siya, anong kailangan? By mere consent lang. Sa real contract, kailangan may delivery para maging perfected. Sa formal or solemn contracts, kailangan ng special form. And ano yung special form na yon? Kailangan nakanotaryo. Contracts that require compliance with the formalities required by law in order to be perfected. Di ba? Na-discuss natin to kanina. Ano yun? Formal or solemn contracts. So, they need special form of compliance. So, dito yung special form na to na tinutukoy ay yung pag-notarize ng instrument o yung deed of donation. Kailangang ipanotaryo para maging perfected siya. So, the answer here sa number 9, contracts that require compliance with the formalities required by law in order to be perfected, we have formal or solemn contracts. Number 20, contracts that require delivery in order to be perfected. So again, i-recall natin, ano yung kailangan ng delivery? We have real contracts. Para maging perfected sila, kailangan ng delivery. Kagaya ng deposit and pledge. Kailangan mong i-deliver yung object. So again, contracts that require delivery in order to be perfected, ano yun? Real contracts. Number 21, it is the manifestation of the meeting of the offer and the acceptance upon the thing and the cost which are to constitute the contract. So, i-meet mo yung offer and nag-accept naman siya sa offer. Ano yun? We have consent. It is actually stated under Article 1319. Number 22, status of the contract if consent is vitiated by fraud or intimidation. Now, before we answer that, let's review muna. Or parang hindi yata natin ito na-discuss, so hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na review. What are the classes of defective contracts? There are what we call defective contracts class. Merong something wrong sa kontrata. And what are the classes? Number 1, we have void. Number 2, we have voidable. Number 3, we have rescissible. And number 4, we have unenforceable. Dito sa void contracts, there is something missing. walang consent or walang object or walang cause or consideration. It's not valid. It's void from the very beginning. Wala siyang effect. Sa voidable naman, it's valid. Pwede pa rin siya. Until annulled. So kung gusto mo siyang mapawalang visa, magpa-annul ka. Take note na kagaya sa marriage. Marriage is a special contract. So kung merong defect, like for example sa shotgun marriage, pinilit ka lang, pwede kang magpa-annul. Yan yung sinasabi nilang annulment. Sa number 3, we have rescissible contracts. Di ba? Ipa-rescind mo. Number 4, we have unenforceable. Hindi mo siya ma-enforce. So, pwede na, hindi siya valid kasi hindi mo nga siya ma-enforce, pero pwede siyang ma-ratify. Ano ibig sabihin ng ratify? Linisin mo yung defect niya. So, kung may problema, kasi unenforceable siya, pwede mo siyang i-ratify. Anong common na problem dito? Like, walang authority yung tao na yon to represent another person. Kagaya, nagpabili ka ng gamit ng ibang tao, wala ka namang authority. That's an unenforceable contract. Status of the contract if consent is vitiated by fraud or intimidation, may panloloko, or inintimidate ka para mag-enter ka into a contract, we have voidable. So it's a voidable contract. So ito yung answer. Status of the contract if consent is vitiated by fraud or intimidation, the answer is voidable. 23. A contract entered into in the name of another by one who has no authority or legal representation. So wala namang authority yung tao na yon, pero ni-represent niya ang isang tao. Like magpabili siya ng lupa. Yung pala hindi naman siya ginawan ng SPA. Wala siyang authority magpabili. So anong tawag sa kontrata na yon na pinirmahan niya? Like for example, nagpirma siya sa contract of sale. Wala naman siyang authority. Ang tawag na yon ay unenforceable contract. 24. A business advertisement states for sale. So mayroong pinapabili sa business advertisement. 900 square meter lot. So lupa siya. 900 square meters ang area niya. With a brand new 1.5-story house. And ang location niya ay sa 1445 Perdigon, Paco, Manila. And what's the amount? 10 million cash. Ang tanong dito, class, is this a definite offer? Now, bakit natin kailangang alamin kung is this a definite offer? Kasi once na nagsabi ka ng yes, di ba, sa contract of sale, kung matandaan ninyo, it's a contract of sale, it's a consensual contract. It is perfected by mere consent. So once na nagsabi ka ng yes sa advertisement na yon, nag-reply ka, okay, sige, it's already a perfected contract. Hindi na siya pwedeng mag-back out. Kaya ang tanong dito, itong advertisement ba na to, is this a definite offer? Na kapag nag-oo ka o nag-oo ako, ay hindi na siya pwedeng mag-back out, kailangan niya nang ipabili sa akin. Sa business advertisements of things for sale, para ma-consider mo siya as definite offer, kailangan yung offer na yon ay it must contain all the specific particulars. Kailangan kompleto siya. Kailangan nandoon yung price, yung location, yung area. So the details must be complete. The particulars must be very specific and it must be complete para masabi mo siyang definite offer. So kapag mayroong business advertisement and kompleto yung material, yung details niya and particulars niya, kapag nag-oo yung nakabasa nun, it's already perfected. So hindi na pwedeng mag-back out yung nag-post ng business advertisement na yon. Pero sa number 2, if important details are left out, kulang-kulang, hindi naman siya kompleto, the advertisement is not a definite offer, but a mere invitation to make an offer lang. So parang sa marketplace, sa Facebook. So may nag-post doon, iPhone 17 for sale, 20,000 pesos to 30,000 pesos. Ang tanong, yung lahat ba ng details nandoon? Di ba wala? Wala yung memory niya, wala yung specific price. So kulang siya. And because kulang ang details, it's merely an invitation to make an offer. So kapag may nag-post ng ganun sa Facebook, sa marketplace, and then sinabi ninyo, sige, bilhin ko na yan, hindi nyo pwedeng pilitin yung nagbebenta na ipabili sa inyo. Kasi it's merely an invitation to make an offer. Pero kapag kompleto yung details ng iPhone 17, like my memory, kailan binili, magkano yung specific price, it's a definite offer. Kaya kapag nag-reply ka sa kanya, sinabi mo, sige, bilihin ko na yan, the seller is already bound na ipabili yun sa'yo at hindi sa ibang tao. So yun ang difference nila. So let's go back. Kompleto ba ang details dito? 900 square meters. So, meron yung area. It's a 1.5 story house, and then nakalagay kung saan siya located, and then yung price. In other words, kumpleto yung details. Yung particulars na kumpleto. And because the details are complete, the business advertisement is a definite offer. Kapag nag-oo ka dito, there's already a perfected contract of sale. So the answer is yes because the details are complete. So number 25, ito naman, meron na namang business advertisement. Nakalagay dito, 1,000 square meters, 100 million to 150 million pesos. And ang location niya is sa Forbes. Ang tanong, is this a definite offer or merely an invitation to sell? Diba? Sinabi natin, it is a definite offer kung kumpleto yung particulars. Pero it is only a mere invitation to make an offer kapag hindi kumpleto ang details. So let's go back to this question. Kumpleto ba ang details? No. Bakit hindi kumpleto ang details? Kasi 100 million to 150 million pesos, offer lang ito. It's merely an invitation na gumawa ka ng offer mo. This is merely an invitation to make an offer. 6. While his father was still alive, he sold to B the property he expected to receive from his father. Is the contract valid? Ito, buhay pa yung papa niya. Si A, yung anak, binenta niya kay B yung property ng father niya habang buhay pa yung father niya. Ang tanong, is the contract valid? Tandaan ninyo na future inheritance cannot be the subject of a contract. Bakit? Kasi hindi pa naman siya ang may-ari niyan. Buhay pa yung father niya. Yung father niya pa ang may-ari niyan. Wala pa siyang right. Magkakaroon lang siya ng karapatan kapag minana niya na yon. And kailan niya mamanahin yon? Kapag namatay na ang father niya. Pero dito, buhay pa yung father niya. Hindi pa siya ang may-ari nun. So there is no valid object. Kaya future inheritance cannot be the subject of a contract kasi there is no valid object. And kapag walang object, walang contract. Kasi object is one of the essential requisites of a valid contract. We have consent, object, cause or consideration. 27. What is the remedy if mistake, fraud, inequitable conduct, or accident has prevented a meeting of the minds of the parties? So dito merong mistake, fraud, inequitable conduct, or accident. So paano mo siya, anong remedy kapag merong ganito? Anong gagawin mo? Under Article 1359, you can file a case for annulment of contract. And what's the purpose of this? To render invalid the contract entered into because of fraud, mistake, etc. So mag-file ka ng annulment. So that is your remedy. Kung sa kontrata is merong mistake or niloko ka or because of accident, nag-enter ka into a contract pero ayaw mo naman, you file an annulment of contract. Kailangan mo mag-file ng annulment. Bakit? Kasi this is voidable contract. Kapag voidable contract, it's valid until annulled. Valid siya. So kailangan mong ipa-annul para mapawalang bisa ang kontrata na yan. Number 28, it creates the obligation to return the things which were the object of the contract. So, kailangan ibalik mo kung anong natanggap mo and ibalik niya rin kung anong natanggap niya. Anong tawag doon? Rescission. Under Article 1385, kapag merong rescission, di ba, kung ma-remember ninyo, ano yung rescission? Parang it's the opposite of specific performance. Sa rescission, ayaw mo na. Sa specific performance, gusto mo pang magpatuloy sa contract. So, kapag ayaw mo na, nag-file ka na meron ng rescission, it creates the obligation to return the things which were the object of the contract. 29. It cleanses the contract from all its defects from the moment it was constituted. So, merong defect yung kontrata. Like fraud, accident, mistake. Now, how do you cleanse that? How do you remove the defects? You remove it through ratification. Ratification cleanses the contract from all its defects from the moment it was constituted. And then, finally, we have number 30. It is a bar which precluded a person from denying or asserting anything contrary to that which has been in contemplation of law established by his own deed. May ginawa ka and gusto mo nang mag-back out. Hindi ka na pwede mag-back out kasi dahil sa ginawa mo, you have already asserted something and napaniwala mo isang tao. It is a bar meaning it's a prohibition which precludes a person from denying or asserting. Hindi mo na pwedeng i-deny or i-assert something na hindi ganun ang case. Kasi by your own deed sa ginawa mo, napaniwala mo siya. Like, nagbigay ka ng chocolate. So, gusto mo siya, hindi mo na pwedeng i-deny na hindi mo siya gusto. Kasi you are already stopped. So, the answer is estoppel. So, this is the answer sa number 30. Sa last question, number 30, the answer is estoppel. Now, let's go to the true or false. Number 1, assignment or cession does not transfer ownership in favor of the creditor. Maalala pa ninyo to, class? Payment by cession as opposed to dito sa number 9, dasion in payment. 'Di ba? Yung pinapa-compare ko sa inyo, anong difference nila? Sa session, payment by session at saka dasion in payment. Sa payment by session, ito yung lahat ng properties. Ibibigay niya and ipapabili ng mga creditors, pambayad sa utang. Sa number 1, assignment or cession does not transfer ownership in favor of the creditor. The answer is true. Hindi sila magiging may-ari ng properties na yon. Ipapabili kasi nila yung class. And then, after nila mapabili, hati-hatian na nila yung proceeds para mabayaran yung utang. Dito sa number 9, dasion in payment does not affect all the properties. True. Kasi hindi naman talaga lahat ng properties sa dasion in payment. Pwedeng isa or dalawa. Dito sa number 1, ang lahat. All of the properties. Number 2, a contract can still arise even if there is only one party. A contract can still arise even if there is only one party. Now, pina-recite ko kayo during your oral recitation, isa-isa ng definition ng contract. I'm sure masasagutan na ninyo to. 'Di ba? Sa recitation ninyo, isa-isa kayo. Ano sinabi ninyo? A contract is a meeting of minds between two or more persons. Kaya hindi pwedeng isang tao lang sa kontrata. There must be at least two persons. So the answer here is false. Hindi pwedeng isang tao lang. Number 3, a consensual contract is perfected by delivery. Na-discuss na natin to kanina. Is a consensual contract perfected by delivery? The answer is no. Kasi sa consensual contract, by mere consent, perfected na siya. Ano yung perfected by delivery? Yun na yung real contracts. Number 4, contract to make accommodatum is a consensual contract perfected by mere consent. The answer is true. Kasi to make accommodatum, it's merely a contract to do something. So it's consensual contract. Number 5, a qualified acceptance constitutes a counter-offer. Kung may nag-offer, class, and then tinanggap ninyo yung offer pero may qualification. Like sinabi niya, I am offering this car for 100,000 pesos. Sige, I will accept that offer. But make it 90,000 pesos. So merong qualification. In other words, you are not really accepting the offer. What you are doing is in effect making a counter offer. So the answer here is true. Number 6, a contract entered into by an unauthorized representative is valid if subsequently ratified. The answer is true. Anong tawag sa contract na to? Kapag merong unauthorized representative, wala siyang authority, di ba? Na-discuss natin to. We have an enforceable contract. And it can be ratified. Na-discuss natin kanina, ratification is the remedy to cleanse the defect. Para linisan yung defect. Number 7, a contract is voidable when the consent of one party has been vitiated by error, fraud, violence, intimidation, and undue influence. The answer is true. Voidable means valid pa rin ang kontrata. Kaya kailangan nyo siyang, kapag ayaw na ninyo sa kontrata because of this, fraud, violence, etc., anong gagawin ninyo? Magpa-annul kayo. You file an annulment of contract. Number 8, impossible things or services cannot be the object of contracts. Of course. Kasi, how can you perform an impossible service? Diba? True. Number 9, nasagot na natin to. And number 10, we have the voidable contract is valid till annulled. Yes, this is true. A voidable contract because of fraud, accident, violence, although it's voidable, it is still valid. Kaya kailangan yung mag-file ng annulment para mapa-invalidate siya. So that would be all. Take note yung pinapamemorize ko sa inyo na mga terms at saka yung enumeration, ha? Huwag niyo kalimutan.